Good morning. It's 7:30 on a Tuesday and we're live. You're with me or you're watching the replay. I don't know. And I'm going to try to stop waving my hand at the camera because when I do that, it autofocuses and I think that's causing audio glitches. There's something causing audio glitches and I want to make this a pleasurable experience, not a horrible experience. Um that being said, we are done believing. This is it. This is Done Believing Podcast with Preston. I am done believing. I'm moving away from simply believing the truth towards knowing the truth, all for the purpose of overcoming delusion. Whose delusions do I want to overcome? Everybody else's? Nope. I don't care about everybody else's delusion. I care about my delusion. The battle, it's a spiritual battle, and it's waged inside of you, inside of me. That's what I'm trying to overcome is the enemy who's waging a war against me. And I'm trying to overcome my delusion. Well, I'm not trying. I'm trusting. And I know for a fact God will help you. But you got to go away from the crowd, away from all this other stuff, all these other distractions, and get to know yourself. Everybody wants to go sit on a deserted island or in a retreat in the mountains, and they want to hear from God. They want to hear something great and profound from God about the universe, about existence, about the end times. And here's the truth of the revelation that comes from God. You start getting alone with God. This is what he's going to reveal to you. He's going to reveal the truth about you. He's going to reveal your true location, spiritually speaking. Where are you at on the path of salvation? What's your progress like? He's going to reveal that to you. And then when he does, you're going to have a decision to make. Are you going to believe him and trust him and move forward? Or are you going to justify? Are you going to justify your behavior? Are you going to make excuses for it? Are you going to blame others? Christians have to learn how to endure all things. We don't just learn it just so that, oh yeah, I know that now. No, we learn it so that we can do it, so that it can bring us to actions. This is the call to action for all Christians all around the world. Learn to endure all things, including whatever situation you're in your life. Whatever situation you find yourself in, you're going to have to endure it, and God can help you do it, and he will help you. He will turn you into an overcomer who can endure all things, even a humiliating death at the betrayal of your friends. But one thing that the world can't do, and look, the world desperately wants the light of the children of God to shine in it. They want it. They're so full of hate and fear, they devour each other. You can see it. Turn on the news. You'll see people lashing out against these people turning against those people. It's not like the world versus the church. The world is just a cesspool of evil and hatred and murdering themselves, murdering anybody they can get their hands on. And then the church is in the middle of that. So it's not like us versus them. It's just every man for himself. And the church and the children of God find themselves in the middle of that on purpose as part of God's plan. Send you out as sheep amongst wolves. That's what our own master told us. That's right. I'm going to send you out into harm's way. And because of that, you better be able to endure all things. And the disciples had to learn that. Okay, that being said, the world hates blame. They hate each other. That's what I was saying. They hate each other. They hate everything. They're full of evil. They can't help it. We were all born into that world. It's a fallen world, absent from the presence of God. And they hate everything. As a matter of fact, when they see weakness, anybody who's weak, when they see weakness, they hate it. And when they see strength, They want it, but because they're weak, they hate the strength too. But here's what we Christians, us, the children of God, you, a child of God, if indeed you are, here's what you got to do. You got to be that example in the hope that a few will overcome, that a few will see the light, they will see God, they will want God for themselves, and then they will start the path that leads to salvation on their own. You can't save a person. You just can't do it. You can't save anybody. But the world, they can't endure the consequences of their own decisions. And I'm so sad to say that many people who call themselves Christians, they cannot do it either. And what does it mean to be a Christian? It means to be Christ-like. It means that you behave as Christ did. You handle situations the same way Christ did. So if you cannot endure your own situation right now, you don't like your job, but you're having to endure it for a time until another job opens. You're arguing with your spouse and you can't endure your spouse. Your first thought is to blame your spouse. You're blaming your boss. You're blaming everybody else for your poor work environment. You're blaming. That means if you use blame at all in your life, that means you have no endurance. You cannot endure the consequences of your own decisions. Your own decisions. And Jesus never blamed any other person. If you read the Gospels, according to the Gospels, Jesus didn't blame anybody else for any of his problems. He didn't even blame Judas for betraying him because he knew this concerns me and God. And there's a spiritual battle raging inside the hearts and minds of every single human being, no matter how non-religious they are, no matter how religious they are. It's a spiritual battle going on right now in the hearts and minds of everybody, including the church. The spiritual battle doesn't end until you get on the other side of the resurrection. But you can overcome and you participate in the spiritual battle by getting out of your imagination, learning to endure, realizing your thoughts aren't yours, and take personal responsibility. Jesus didn't blame anybody else because he knew this is between me and my Father. What's going on right now, me going to the cross, me being betrayed, all this stuff, that's between me and God. And Jesus even called out other people about their sin without blaming them. If you notice this, Jesus will cast out a demon. He cast out a lot of demons, and he never blamed the person that the demon was in. What the hell's wrong with you? How did you get that demon up inside of you? Never. According to the Gospels, that was never recorded that he did that. The only thing he ever did, he confronted the sin. He confronted it, but he didn't blame. He just pointed out what it was. He spoke the truth. And they hated him for it anyways. And I hear so many Christians right now, if you raise your voice, if you confront sin in the world around you, on social media, in church, in a friendship, if you confront the sin, let me tell you the reaction that you're going to get. You probably already know it. The reaction that you're going to get is a negative reaction. Nobody's going to want to hear that. The first thing they're going to do is accuse you of being a hypocrite, accuse you of judging them. They're going to accuse you of not being like Jesus, because Jesus ate and drank with tax collectors. He was hanging out with the prostitutes. He was hanging out with the evil people. They're going to go on and on and on about how Jesus was all loving and cared for people. And he wasn't here to condemn them, but to show them love. And that you as a Christian, you got to do the same thing. And if you're telling me I'm a sinner, well, you're really wrong for doing that. It's nauseating. It's nauseating. So I'll say this. Jesus, let's say that he was really nice. Let's say that all he did was show love, and the little Renaissance paintings with Jesus like this and like, with his little hair coming down around his shoulders, and he's peaceful. And like the movies they've made about Jesus, when Jesus confronting somebody, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Go in peace and sin no more. Like all real passive and soft spoken and all this other stuff. I guess when he was flipping over tables, he was like, "Excuse me, you clear your stuff off the table because I'm just going to tip it over. It's just a, it's just a, what do they call that when those artists go to the park and they do like, man, that's never mind. It's evading my memory what they call that, like a art project, a live art performance art or something. They go out into the city street or Times Square and they're just doing something because it's an art form or whatever. And Jesus is like, I'm just trying to prove a little point. If you just clear all the stuff off your table, I'm going to flip this table over. And then people are going to see that, oh, they're going to go, oh, he's right. We shouldn't be here. I think you know how Jesus did it. He like was sitting out there making a whip for a few minutes. So he wasn't just flying off the handle. He knew what he was going to do. His friend's like, hey, Jesus, what are you doing? I'm making a whip. Why? Because I'm going to whip some people. What do you use a whip for? Anyways, man. So Jesus, he wasn't blaming any of those people. He's just telling them. And just be prepared. Oh, that's the point I was going to make. Let's just say that the depiction of Jesus being sweet and kind and not raising his voice, let's just say that that's true. Let's say that's how he really was. And we all got to be like that. Okay. So don't yell. Don't raise your voice. Definitely don't call out sin when you see it. Just be loving. Let's skip to the end of the book. And how did that end for Jesus? If Jesus was all passive and calm, how did that work out for him? Well, they still murdered his ass. They still stuck him up on a cross. They still betrayed him. And they still flogged the ever-living bejesus out of him. They still beat the shit out of him, pardon my French, and stuck him on a cross and killed him. And if you call out sin, the world's going to be like, well, you're not being like Jesus. Well, you're hating me just like the world hated Jesus, so I must be like Jesus. Good God. Okay. All right. I digress from that. But Jesus never blamed anybody. He didn't even blame Judas for delivering him over. He didn't blame the people who stuck him on the cross. Forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. It's a spiritual battle. And these people, they're not fighting it. And if they are fighting it, they're losing it. And the world, being as hateful as they are, they need the light of God. They need the children of God to be revealed. And how can we be revealed? Stop blaming. That's what I'm mostly pushing on right now. The consequences of your own decisions. If you can't endure the consequences of your own decisions, you're going to start blaming. And here's a little example I have. Here's the leader, our governor in the state of Texas. Our governor in the state of Texas, blaming. He sounds just like the world. This is a little news story that happened over the weekend. Let me jump up here to the headline. Texas Governor Abbott lashes out after 46 migrants found dead in a tractor trailer. We should not call these people migrants. We should call them trafficked. These people are being human see billboards up and down the freeway where I live all the time. Stop human trafficking. We got to end human trafficking. But we're not calling it what it is when we see it clear as day. 46 people dead because they were being smuggled and trafficked into this country. He blamed it on Biden. So that's what happened. If you're not aware, for an 18-wheeler full of a bunch of people from south of the border trying to sneak across the border, paying coyotes, paying cash money, paying with their body, paying with their labor, paying with money to be smuggled across the border to come into this country. For whatever reason, that makes no sense to me. If you're in Mexico or anywhere south of the border, how is it better to sneak across the border here come to this country illegally and work here. Why not stay in your own country and learn how to change things in your own country? On a side note, my son, he works at a place, I'm not going to say it, but at his work he was saying, "Oh, one of the best workers is this lady. She's from some other country south of the border. And she's been working there for this many years and she's really good and all this other stuff." I said, "Well, how come she's been working there so many years? She's still at the same level that you're at, son, and you're just a teenager." And he said, "Well, because she's illegal. So she can't really move up. Her English isn't that good. She doesn't have the documents." And it's like the problem with these people is a problem of education. They don't know what to do with their circumstance. Anyways, it's just the darndest thing. How are you going to come up to this country and think, "Oh, I can have a better life here," and you're still working an entry level, non-skilled labor position? You hadn't even learned a trade or done something, and it's all over the place. I know people they're taken advantage of. Immigrants, Latin American immigrants, they get taken advantage of because they're non-skilled labor. All they can ever do is do manual labor, probably rent, maybe own something. The best they can hope for is that their anchor babies are going to move on. But the anchor babies, their children, are learning everything, their behavior from the parents. So the kids are just going to repeat the same. Anyways, that's not the point I'm trying to make. I want to get back to it. So Greg Abbott, after this, let me jump down here. His tweet: at least 42 people, and Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas. At least 42 people found dead inside a truck carrying migrants in Texas. See, he's even using the buzzword migrants. They're just migrants. These people are being trafficked. Why don't you call them what they really are? Why are you using the buzzword? These deaths are on Biden. There it is. They're a result of his deadly open border policy. Here's a question I have. If the border is open, why the hell are they sneaking across in a semi truck? Makes no sense. Don't get me wrong. I do not support all these people pouring across the border illegally. I do not support the federal government in my own country doing nothing. I definitely don't support my own governor doing nothing but blaming somebody else. Oh, here we go. Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, he's got a weak chin. The only thing he's done right is grow a beard to hide his weak beta chin. Horrific. This is wrong. How many more people have to die before Democrats give a damn? Blaming. He's blaming. If you jump down here, let's keep going. What other politicians said? Another politician. I am heartbroken. Who is this? Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. This is from the Biden administration. I am heartbroken by the tragic loss of life. This like Jesus. I am heartbroken. The Renaissance Jesus I was just griping and complaining about. Heartbroken by the tragic loss of life today and praying. Is this the same administration that wants to like keep the murder of babies totally legal? Whatever. Praying to Satan, praying for those still fighting for their lives. Far too many lives have been lost as individuals, blah, 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 blah. I can't even finish what this guy's on about. Can't even finish what he's saying. Just blah, barf. They're blaming. That's why we can't trust politicians, because given the opportunity, they're going to blame. You know what the governor of Texas should be doing instead of blaming? And this is just my idea. This is what I would do if I was the governor of Texas right now. You got property on the border and you got people coming across your property. Here's a law. As long as you have it posted, no trespassing, you can shoot at somebody who's on your property trespassing. You can shoot at them. I might encourage them, don't kill them. But you start shooting at people pouring across the border, they're going to turn around and run. Let them run to your neighbor If your neighbor doesn't want to shoot at them, cross on my neighbor's property, but you're not coming through my property. Why are we not doing that? Why is the Greg Abbott not deputizing any able-bodied person in the state of Texas as a Texas Ranger? Go down to the border, set up shop, shoot at anybody that comes across that border illegally. We have ports of entry. You want to come into the state, you want to come into the country, you got to go to the port of entry. You can't just jump across the border. Shoot at them. Stop them from coming. And then, and this is my problem with Abbott, and then when the federal government comes along and says, you can't do that, then say, well, then why don't you roll some tanks down here, dude, and force Texas to not do what we're doing? Force us to. And then endure the pain that comes with that. Endure the fallout. I'm not saying start a war. I'm not saying start a civil war between Texas and the rest of the country or the U.S. military. But you know what kind of shockwaves would be sent out if the U.S. government sent soldiers to the state of Texas to stop its own citizens from protecting its own borders? Something would happen. Something a hell of a lot more than just blaming. And this is my point. This is the call to action for Christians. You got to stop blaming. You got to endure the consequences of your own decisions. These are our decisions. This is Greg Abbott's decision to not do anything about the border. This is our decision to hire illegal immigrants. If you're a business owner, why are you hiring somebody who's illegal? You got contract, you got a tile guy, you got a yard guy. You're hiring somebody who's illegal, who can't work here. Why are you doing that? It's on us. Why? Because they keep pouring across and we keep giving them jobs because we're trying to be nice. And especially the church. You know how many so-called Christian ministries are down at the border giving these people water and helping them cross the border illegally? That's so pathetic. Why? Because they gotta show the love of God. Why don't you show the love of God by standing down there and going, hey, what you're doing is illegal. And they'll be like, well, we have no other choice but to come like this. We have no choice. No, you have a choice. God's not going to bless you for caving into fear. What about abortion? Abortion's big. Abortion's being talked about all the time right now. Abortion. What is that? Abortion. Anybody who's getting an abortion, I'm sorry, it's not an abortion. Anybody who's killing a baby or supports killing a baby is blaming others, and they have failed to endure the consequences of their own decision. That's all it is. You made a decision. You might be an accident that you got pregnant, but you made a decision. Oh, well, what if I got raped? But you're making a decision based off of your fear of the unknown. You got raped. You got incest. You got all this other stuff, or you don't have the money to support a child right now, or it's going to be this. I understand. I don't think there's a woman on the face of the earth. Maybe I'm wrong. So I'll say it like this. The vast majority of women who find out they're pregnant, their initial reaction, aside from joy and like, oh, I'm pregnant, it's to think about, how am I going to take care of the baby? Immediately run ahead and think about the future that's not here yet. That's just natural. For a man, I know with all three of my kids, the first thought I had was, how am I going to take care of this baby financially? I don't have the money to do that. You start giving in to fear of the unknown. So anybody who supports abortion in any way, shape, or form, you're afraid. You're afraid of something that you don't even know what's going to happen. And you think you're so damn smart that you're going to go ahead and fix the problem now. You don't know. You have no idea. And you cannot endure the consequences of your own decisions. And while we're over here, and while you're busy blaming, while Abbott is busy blaming, while abortion rights activists are busy blaming the other side, while everybody's busy blaming and running away from the consequences of their own decisions, The enemy, he's taken. He's taking lives. He's taking up territory in the minds of these people. He's conquering and expanding his kingdom. And he's doing it through people. And so here in America, you're losing your rights, not your rights to an abortion, a baby murder. You can still go to a state that it's legal and just go kill your baby over there. You're losing other rights. You're losing ground. You're losing time. If you're a person who is not of the Father and you haven't repented and been born again yet and overcome your own sinful, nasty nature and overcome being a slave to Satan, you're losing time. You're busy blaming, and the enemy is busy taking up more of your life, consuming more of your mortality. It's so sad, but Christians have got to overcome and endure all things. We've got to learn to endure even the consequences of our own decisions. And we can't be asking God, oh, yes, Lord, I did mess up. I did screw up in a big way and marry the wrong person, but please come and help me. I did screw up and screw my kids' life up, but fix them now. Fix them quick. I'm going to take them to church and they're going to lay on hands. They're going to anoint them with oil. Then we'll pray and immediately all things will be fixed because that's what Jesus did. You're looking for a quick fix to get you away from the consequences of your own decisions. It's not going to happen with God. He cares more about you than he does your comfort. He wants to bring you through it. Bring you through and teach you how to endure all things so that you'll be like Christ, so that you'll be like a son and a daughter of the living God, so that the world can see you and so that the few who will respond, because Jesus already told us, wide is the path leads to destruction. Narrow is the gate that leads to the path of salvation, and few will find it. We don't endure all things because it's going to make us popular. We're going to get a lot of followers. We're going to become a professional YouTuber and tell people to endure all things, and we can quit our day job. It's not a it's not a popular place. It's not a popular stance. And not very many people are really going to wake up and escape the hell that they're in. But we do it in the hope that with my life, maybe one person, maybe just one person, maybe my own children will see the example that me, their father, set for them, and maybe they'll come out of it. Maybe they will learn to endure all things so that they can be born again, so that they can be a child of God, not a child of Preston, but a child of God. We got to endure because there are a few people out there that God knows once they hear the gospel, they're going to take it and it's going to go into them. It's going to take root and it's going to bear fruit. Most people won't get it. It's sad. It is so sad. Most people, because of their pride, would rather burn in hell than admit that they're a slave and learn how to overcome. It's the darndest thing, but we do it for the few that are out there, the few that are being called. Guys, we are way over time. You know, believe it or not, I try to keep these at like 15 minutes. It's just slowly going to turn into a 30-minute show. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm in charge of my own schedule because I own my own business. And so I can run these as long as I want and still go to work and make a living. Have a great one. I will see you back tomorrow, 7:30 a.m.